name is Nicola Bentham. I'm a PhD researcher in the School of Organisational Psychology and a graduate teaching assistant as well. In terms of my research explores the concept of the ideal worker within the professionalised non-profit sector, specifically looking at the concept of the ideal worker from the perspective of ethnic minority females. Within the study, I am keen to examine aspects of inclusion, so really looking at the technologies of inclusion within the non-profit sector. And by that I mean, how does the non-profit organisation engage in dialogue and ways of working that perhaps validate a specific idealisation of the worker? And how does this process impact one of the least represented groups in the sector, i.e. ethnic minority females? I'm also keen to explore any tensions that might exist between the sector's projected external image of philanthropic social justice and beneficiaries, and also the internalised organisational practices that perpetuate the ideal worker concept. Finally, one of the things that I'm also keen to explore is to look at the impact of those technologies of inclusion and those tensions for underrepresented workers, such as minority ethnic female workers, and also to think about whether or not the concept of representation across the sector can be improved. Hopefully, the implications of my work in relation to gender equality and sustainable development really speaks to those themes, particularly from one perspective whereby I'm using an intersectional lens to explore gender equality within the sector, particularly a sector that espouses equality for all, and really to determine whether representation can be improved in more sustainable ways. So really looking at how my research can look at EDI policies across organisations to really build in sustainable EDI, and by using critical discourse analysis and using a process whereby I'm engaging in dialogue with ethnic minority female workers, managers, people who represent HR positions, leaders in the organisation. I'm really hoping that it will be able to unearth the power dynamics that reside within those dialogues in order for a sustainable sense of growth and development can permeate the sector. In terms of what does International Women's Day mean to me, I think it's a great opportunity to acknowledge and remember many female researchers and authors who've contributed to our understanding of organisational life. So, for example, Joan Acker, she developed and wrote extensively about the concept of the ideal worker. Patricia Hill Collins has been quite an influential writer in terms of intersectionality, but positioning intersectionality as a critical social theory. So really looking at the element of social praxis within intersectionality. And they're just to name a few. I also think it's a really good opportunity to think about how more female perspectives can emanate and emerge within organisational research, and in doing so can continue to bring a great deal of depth and understanding into organisational life. Perhaps on a personal level, I think this is a great opportunity, International Women's Day, to reflect on the amazing number of women who've inspired me, family, friends, colleagues. So I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of self-reflection on that day, but also to not just consign it, I suppose, to one day, but to think about how all of the thrust and ethos and great work that we do throughout the year can be recognised as we continue to grow and develop our insights in research, and also our connections in and amongst other women as well.